All right, here we go. Last section of notes today. So I'm going to deal with the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. And this fire is really going to be important because it's the one that actually is going to start to really change the laws. So previously we had all these strikes, we have these incidences, but nothing really truly gets changed. There's a little bit happens with the Patterson Silk strike with the garment workers, but that's because they were really kind of unified and nobody else was able just to walk in there and do their jobs. This one is going to really take a look at conditions and what does an owner in a business have the right to do against their worker. In 1911, there is the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, and it's located on the 8th, 9th, and 10th floor of a building. The owners are concerned about people trying to unionize. So what they've decided to do is they've decided to lock the doors after each shift. So once all the workers have arrived, they're going to be locked into the factory until it's time for them to go. So they can make sure that union information does not get inside. However, on this particular day, a fire actually is going to break out below the factory. So a fire breaks out and the women are not able to get out because the owners had actually locked the doors. So they cannot get out at all. Some of them are going to try to break the windows. They're going to try to use the fire escapes, and we don't have any building codes really, and none of that was regulated or mandatory. Nobody was inspecting to make sure there was a working fire escape, or that you didn't have bars on the windows. And the factory doesn't have a sprinkler system, and there is only one fire escape, and that's going to be blocked as well. The end result of it is 146 women are going to be killed in the fire. This leads to public outrage and starts to have a demand of action. It is mass number of people demanding that the government does something to ensure your safety at work. The owners of the factory are going to be tried. They're going to be tried for manslaughter, and they are going to be acquitted because there's nothing on the legal code that says that what they did was actually illegal at that time period. However, because of this, you are going to have safety regulations. They're going to be put in place to ensure that this does not happen again. Other companies start to look for other sources of labor because they are a little bit concerned about unions and the right of people to strike and having to pay higher wages and improving their working conditions. So in Cold Creek, Tennessee, they decide to replace workers with prisoners. The prisoners are going to be free labor. You don't have to pay them. So that is going to cut a lot of your overhead and actually drastically increase your profits. So workers are going to eventually attack the company as they are working. And what they ended up doing is they ended up freeing all the prisoners. Businesses, again, are trying to make sure that they're maximizing their profit. They're fighting the unions, they're fighting the workers, they have the support of government until you have this Sherman antitrust law. But even after the Sherman antitrust law, it wasn't very well written. It was vague. I don't know it doesn't really tell me what a monopoly is. It just says I want to break up trust, but I don't know how it's done, and there's no enforcement. So what the businesses actually do is they turn the Sherman Antitrust Act against the government and against the workers. So striking, boycotting, pick lines, all of that hurt interstate commerce. And one of the part of the Sherman Antitrust Act says that you have to be able to maintain interstate commerce. So as a result of that, all strikes, as soon as a strike was called, all the business has to do is call the government and say they're interrupting interstate commerce. And then the government comes in and holds an injunction against labor, which means the strike has to stop and everyone has to return to work. When you return to work, obviously you have not solved any of your problems. There's been no arbitration, there's been no change of contract, you have not gotten anything but the mere fact that you went on strike and then the government forced you back to work. So what we're going to do is all of your notes are done. And you have all of your homework packets back. All of your packets and everything has been reviewed. So you can have the remaining of the time to start working on, if there's time left, the Trader Joe, what Trader Joe does. And that's going to take a look at a very small business that has, for some reason, figured out a new business model that allows them to be very successful in order to fight against big companies. So obviously Trader Joe is a small grocery store, but they are thriving, even though we do have Giant Eagle, and we have all these other very large grocery chains in the area. So you're going to pick up the worksheet, and then after you pick up the worksheet, your reading is going to be in Blackboard, and it's going to be called How Trader Joe Does It. We're going to answer those few questions, and then you're going to fill out the Venn diagram at the bottom. One circle is dealing just with Trader Joe. One circle deals just with the U.S. Steel, which is Carnegie Steel, and then one circle, the common area in the middle, is what the things that these companies actually do that they have in common. So start working on that. It is not homework. I would rather have you study for your test and make your online review games. Tomorrow we will finish How Trader Joe Does It. We'll start the homestead strike. Monday we'll take our test, and then we'll move on. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.